Welcome to the Disrupting Obesity podcast. I'm Charlotte Skanes, and I'll be sharing ways to regain control over your body and lose an extreme amount of weight naturally. Being fat is about so much more than just the food. It's about your relationship with food. That means that dealing with your weight is about more than just the food, too. You have to change that relationship. You have to start disrupting obesity. We're going to try something a little bit different again today. So a few weeks ago, I took a look at old school diet myths. I looked at how did we end up here? And I was really surprised by how old some of those myths were and how deeply ingrained they've all become just in our culture, stuff that we thought we invented that no, it's actually been around for like a couple hundred years. I started doing that episode because I was doing the research for this episode and I got really kind of frustrated and upset and angry and just generally set off by the whole thing. So I thought I'm going to put that aside and I'm going to try and have some fun with these old school myths before we circle back around to look at modern weight loss myths, which is where we are today. What I've done is I went on Google and I asked for the top 50 dieting myths currently. And then I added about 15 more that came in from you guys that I thought we should probably take a look at too. And I've just got a master list in front of me and we're going to start working our way through it. So I'm just going to start at the top. I'm going to work my way through and I'm going to try to get through as many of them as I possibly can. I think I might have been a little ambitious thinking that I could somehow answer 65 of these in a single episode. It might even be a little ambitious to think I can get them done in 2, but we're going to try. We're going to take a look and we're just going to start and we're going to try. So here we go. Now, I feel like the first one was kind of just sent to me by the universe because if you've been listening for a little while or if you follow me on social media, this is a drum that I like to bang a lot. It might be my favorite, my least favorite, depending on how you want to look at it, of the diet myths. So modern diet myth number 1 is you must exercise to lose weight. Now, I have entire episodes devoted to this myth. There are 2 of them. I can't remember which ones they are. I think it's number 42 and number 9, maybe. One of them is called Don't Exercise to Lose Weight, and the other one is called Stop Exercising to Lose Weight. I feel like though just the titles alone probably give you an idea of how I feel on this one. The short answer, and I will keep it short because we have 65 of these to get. Who knew there were 65 diet myths? Okay. We have 65 to do, so I'm not going to rant and rave. You can definitely check those episodes out. I've also answered this question in probably 5 of the Ask Whatever episodes that I've done. You definitely don't have to exercise to lose weight. You don't. Exercising doesn't burn nearly as many calories as we've been told it does. And exercise is wonderful. I'm not shit-talking exercise or movement. What I'm pushing back against is this whole notion of to lose weight, you have to diet and exercise. You don't. Calories in, calories out. I know the exercise helps, Gladys. I can hear the keyboards tapping in the distance. But the truth of the matter is, the very simple truth, the inarguable truth is that you do not have to exercise to lose weight. You can lose all of your weight just through your diet. That's how I did it twice. And I'm not talking about a couple pounds here. I'm talking about a couple hundred. I lost 201 pounds with 0 exercise. I actually moved into a building that had an elevator. Like I was doing multiple flights of stairs a day. No, I moved into a building with an elevator. So I ended up doing less exercise as I was losing weight. And the second time I lost my weight, there was no exercise there. There was a little bit of physiotherapy, but not anything anybody would ever qualify as exercise. So if you're stuck in the headspace where you can't because you're physically unable to, or you're not in a place mentally where you feel capable of exercising, but you're telling yourself that there's no point in controlling what you eat because if you can't exercise, why bother? You can let all of that go. Absolutely bother because you do not ever have to exercise to lose weight, period. Our number 2 myth, and this one I think is probably going to come back up a couple times in a couple different ways. We'll see how this goes. But our second one is carbs are bad for weight loss. First of all, carbs aren't really bad for anything, and they're certainly not bad for weight loss. Excess calories are bad for weight loss. Whether you take those excess calories in as carbs or fats or protein, if you have excess calories, you will gain weight. It's not about which macro they are. That part doesn't, no, it doesn't matter. A calorie is a calorie when it comes to weight loss in this way. And calories from carbohydrates are the same as calories from protein or calories from fat when it comes to your weight loss. If you're in a calorie deficit, you will lose weight. If you are not in a calorie deficit, you won't. If you're in a calorie surplus, you will gain weight. So whether you're taking in your calories from fat, protein, or carbs, it's so long as you're in a deficit, you'll lose the weight. So carbohydrates can absolutely be part of your weight loss journey. I didn't quit eating carbs either time I lost weight. I still eat carbs every day to maintain my weight loss. So you really don't have to. I know we've all been programmed. There's been so much conditioning in the last couple of decades that carbs are bad and carbs impede weight loss. They don't. They don't. They're just a calorie, same as any other. Along the same vein is number 3, fat makes you fat. Nope. Excess calories make you fat. Whether those calories come from fat or carbs or protein, doesn't matter. If you're bringing in too many of them, you'll gain weight. If you're eating at your TDEE, your total daily energy expenditure, the amount of calories your body needs every day to function and survive and do all the things that you do. If you're eating at your maintenance TDEE, your weight's going to stay the same. If you're consistently eating over it, you're going to gain weight. And if you're consistently eating below your TDEE, you will lose weight. Whether those calories are coming in from fat or carbs or protein, it's about the deficit. That's what's going to make the difference here. It's about the difference between your TDEE and how many calories you're actually taking in. That's where the weight loss is going to happen. Number 4, skipping meals helps you lose weight faster. I don't really like the way this has been phrased, frankly, because I get accused of skipping meals all the time because I'm an intermittent faster. And I'm not skipping meals, I'm just moving when I'm taking them in. It's not that skipping meals helps you lose weight faster. It's a calorie deficit that helps you lose weight faster. So just saying I'm going to skip my meals isn't a viable plan, because okay, fine, you're going to skip breakfast every day, but then you just end up hungrier at lunch. So you're taking in the calories that you would have had at breakfast at your lunchtime and maybe a mid-afternoon snack and maybe dinner, because you're congratulating yourself because you skipped breakfast. So you must be doing better today. Well, you'll only be doing better if skipping breakfast leads to a calorie deficit. If skipping breakfast leads to eating excess calories later on in the day, either because you're so hungry or because you're so proud of yourself for doing something to control your weight, then you won't lose any weight. So skipping meals will only work if you're in a calorie deficit. It's the same as everything else. And it's not a mindset I think you need to be in necessarily. We want to focus on the food we are having and not keeping our heads focused on the things that we're not having. Number 5 is another personal favorite, because I heard this one all the time when I was losing my weight the first time around. Eating after 6 p.m. causes weight gain. Nope. Calories can't tell time. We all know somebody who works overnights or midnights or shift work, and they're eating at all different times. Those people aren't all overweight. You can name people in, I don't know, hundreds of different professions who take their meals after 6 p.m. and they're not all struggling with obesity. It's kind of ridiculous. I'm not sure when that whole thing started. I can remember very specifically being told in the early 2000s that by eating after 6 p.m., the myth was anything you eat after 6 or 7 or 8, depending on who you were talking to, even 9 o'clock at night, if you eat after 6 o'clock, your body automatically converts the food and stores them as fat. No, calories can't tell time. That's just not the way it works. But it's a very pervasive myth that just won't go away. And I understand what it's grounded in, right? It's grounded in the fact that so many of us have a problem with night eating and with binge eating at night. So I think the reason that became such a prevalent cultural myth was because if you are a night eater and you force yourself to stop eating at 6, you're going to cut out a lot of calories. That, I think, was the thinking. Somehow that got twisted, though, into this weird, unscientific threat that doesn't actually serve anybody. So, no, eating after 6 p.m. will not automatically lead to weight gain. If you're eating over your TDEE after 6 p.m. every day, then yes, it will. But it's not a guarantee. It's not because of a time on the clock. And then my question becomes, what happens with like daylight savings time and time zones? Like you can see the flaws in this on your own, I'm sure already. So don't worry about that one. You can just, calories can't tell time. Just forget about that one completely. Number 6 is going to be pretty quick to answer. And it's not something I would normally take on, but we're going to just because it's quick to answer and I feel like it needs to be addressed. You can target fat loss in specific areas, like your abs or your thighs. Everybody remember the Thigh Master? I had one. I have no idea how I thought it was going to help me, but I certainly bought one. You cannot target specific areas. You can't spot reduce fat from certain areas. Doing all the crunches in the world isn't going to help unless you're doing something about the overall fat percentage. So no, you can't spot reduce particular areas. I don't do exercise type questions as a rule, but that one's pretty quick and easy to answer, and I feel like we all kind of need an answer to that one. Number 7, fad diets are a quick fix for lasting weight loss. No, and no. First of all, fads are rarely a quick fix at all. They don't always work to begin with, let alone fix anything quickly. But we definitely have a myth that you can do a fad diet, lose a whole bunch of weight in a hurry, and somehow keep it off. I thought most of us knew, and I'm pretty sure that most of you guys listening already know that fad diets aren't the answer. They keep popping up. They keep throwing new ones at us. And it's just quick and easy doesn't always equal the best results, if ever. And fads certainly don't lead to long-term weight loss. I think and this is where it's different for someone with a very small amount of weight to lose compared to someone with a much larger amount of weight to lose. I feel like if someone has, 3 or 4 pounds that they need to lose, maybe some of these fads could work for them because they would be able to do it long enough. Because if you've only got 3 or 4 pounds to lose, you're looking at, 4 or 5 weeks to get it off, right? So that's not nearly, I had to do this for 2.5 years to lose my weight the first time. So there really isn't a snowball's chance in hell that I could have stuck with any of the fad diets that we talked about a few weeks ago. I couldn't have eaten cabbage soup every day for 2.5 years. I couldn't have done grapefruits and eggs. Like name any fad diet, and I guarantee you there's no way I could have done it for 2.5 years. So the problem with fads, aside from the fact that they're usually untenable and not always very healthy, is just their lack of sustainability. They're usually so intense that they're not something the average person can continue doing for the years it's going to take to get their weight off. And I know nobody wants to acknowledge how long weight loss actually takes. They just keep throwing these quick fix fads at us because we all want a quick fix to this. And the unfortunate reality is there really isn't one, not if you want to keep your weight off. Number 8, weight loss is all about willpower. I don't think so. I don't. Willpower certainly plays a role, but more so in the sense that you need to make up your mind that you're going to do something and stick with it. It's like my whole thing at New Year's, right? You don't need resolutions, you need resolve. That's what you're after. I'm far less interested in willpower than I am in having the systems in place you need to try and ensure your long-term sustainability and success. It's about making choices early on that you know you're going to be able to sustain over the long haul, so that when your willpower fails, when you're in a moment where you just want to gobble up the whole box of Oreos, you have something else you can turn to instead of just relying on your willpower. I don't know about you, but I know that it may have been in part a lack of willpower that contributed to getting to 338 pounds for me. So I'm not sure willpower would have been the most reliable way to get myself out. I certainly made up my mind. I certainly had to exert willpower at a whole bunch of different points in my weight loss journey. But it wasn't all about willpower. It was about having systems in place. It was about the way I was talking to myself. It was about so much more than just that. And telling people that they just need to attain something that is so out there. Like, how do you even define willpower? It seems it can be it's a moving target, I guess is what I'm trying to say. And I don't think it's fair to look at somebody who weighs 338 pounds and say, well, you just got to willpower your way out of this. How is that helpful? How is that meeting somebody where they are? Clearly, that's an issue. So just screaming at people that they need more willpower, I don't think it's helping anybody. It's not a helpful idea to have. I would just let that go. We're going to focus on having systems in place rather than just hoping that our willpower will carry us through. It wouldn't have worked for me. I won't speak for you, but I couldn't just rely on willpower to get my weight under control. And I think I'm probably in the majority here. I really like number 9. Eating clean, I'm using air quotes for anybody listening instead of watching on YouTube. Eating clean automatically leads to weight loss. It would be amazing if it did. I'm not sure I could eat clean even if it did promise weight loss all the time. I really don't think I could eat clean 100% of the time. But no, that's just not true. They want it to be true. There's a very vocal sect of Gladyses who desperately want it to be true because they want weight loss to be punishment. And I just don't think it needs to be. So no, you don't have to eat clean to lose your weight. It can help in the sense that it'll free up more calories for you to eat the other foods that you enjoy. But you definitely don't have to strictly eat, single ingredient foods or whole foods or organic foods or any of that rhetoric around food. You can lose weight eating anything you want, literally anything, so long as you're in a calorie deficit. Bacon and bubblegum all day long. You can. Nobody likes it when I say that, but that doesn't make it any less true. You can. So don't worry about eating clean. And again, anytime you're just focusing on the food as your way out here, oh, I'll just eat clean and this will be solved. What happens when your weight's off and you decide you don't want to eat clean anymore? What happens then? I'm way more interested in what's happening with your relationship with food than I am in the food itself. So if you really enjoy eating clean and that's your choice, go for it. And I've seen another question that I know this will come up with a little bit later on. But the other side of this is clean eating doesn't guarantee low calorie eating. Lots of quote unquote clean foods are very calorie dense. Healthy oils, healthy fats, things like avocado, lots of different foods that are clean, that are very healthy for us, that are very nutrient dense, are also very calorie dense. And in that way, they won't help you with your weight loss at all. Number 10, and it's a goodie. You have to give up all treats and all of your favorite foods to lose weight. Nope. Hear what I said just a second ago about bacon and bubblegum? Still true. It's still true right now with this question too. You absolutely do not have to give up all of your treats and all of your favorite foods. You don't have to give up anything other than eating an excessive amount of calories. So long as you're in a calorie deficit, you'll lose weight. So you can do that eating your favorite foods, eating treats, so long as you're in a calorie deficit. Now, what I've found is that if I want to eat treats and my favorite things, I'm going to have to find a way to balance that with lower calorie, bulkier, more nutrient dense options so that I can ensure that I get all my favorites and all of my treats. But learning how to balance those things out is a huge part of how I healed my relationship with food. It's a huge part of how I'm maintaining a 200-pound weight loss. So I get very frustrated when the advice I hear coming out is, well, just walk away from that. Just walk away from that. Okay, fine. But if that's been your favorite food ever since you were a little kid and you've got somebody telling you you can never eat it again, for a lot of us, that's going to trigger binge and panic eating. It turns into a permission slip of, well, this is the last time I'm going to have it, so I might as well have it. And the reality is, for most of us, we're not going to walk away. We have an 85% recidivism rate. We have no idea what the numbers are of people who start trying to lose their weight and then just can't for whatever reason. I think a big part of why we can't, one of those for whatever reasons, is because we try and walk away from all our favorites. You still need to use food to comfort, reward, and cope. You are absolutely going to do those things. I don't advise anyone that their end goal should be, I'm never going to emotionally eat again. That is ridiculous. Healthy weighted people emotionally eat all the time. It's not about walking away from emotional eating. It's about learning to balance it. It's about learning to incorporate that facet of your relationship with food into a healthy lifestyle. I've gone off on this one before too, and I'm not going to spend a lot of time on it because it will get me in trouble. We're flying off the seat of my pants today. So I'm going to have to be very careful in the editing because I definitely don't want to get sued. Number 11, supplements, teas, yes, or detoxes can help you lose weight. Now, if you're watching, you can probably see that I'm digging my fingernails into my palms while I'm doing that one. This one upsets me tremendously. You may have heard me talking about snake oil in the past. And when it comes to weight loss, all three of these things fall into the snake oil category. Supplements for weight loss, teas for weight loss, and detoxes for weight loss. They're not the way to go. They're bullshit. Okay. I'm not naming any company names. I'm not slandering or libeling anyone. I am just saying that 100% of the supplements, teas, and weight loss detoxes on the market are bullshit. They want your money. They don't want to help you. It's a load of garbage. They're lying. I'm sorry. I should probably edit this out later. They can help you lose weight quickly was the statement here. And I don't even know about that. I really don't. If your kidneys and your liver are functioning, your body does not need this artificial detox garbage. Teas for weight loss. Okay, if you're drinking tea instead of eating, that's going to put you in a calorie deficit. So I guess I can see how that will work. But these appetite reducers, the fat burning teas, come on. Yeah. And the supplements, I've said enough. We're going to move on. Okay. Number 12. And it is no less controversial, but for a completely different reason. Okay. BMI is the best indicator of health. Now, this came up as a myth, and I know anyone who follows this will know about the big announcement a few weeks ago with regard to BMI. Here's the way I've always looked at it. BMI is an imperfect tool. At the moment, it's kind of the best option that we have, and we can use it as a guideline. That's it. My BMI says that at the low end of my range is like 101 pounds. If I lost 35 pounds right now, I would look like a ghost or something. I would be skeletal. I wouldn't look very healthy. My body doesn't function best at that. But for someone with a different frame than me at 5'2", that is the best option for them. Okay, cool. It's a tool. It's an imperfect tool that we can use as a guide. I do not believe it is the best indicator of health at all. We've all seen those posts and those memes where you've got world-class athletes just at the top of their absolute physical prowess, and their BMI says that they're morbidly obese. No, it's an imperfect tool. Absolutely. I am not a world-class athlete though. So I feel like I can use my BMI as a guide, and I do stay within the healthy range for my height. It's just a tool. I try very hard to stay within my range because of my diabetes, and I'm missing parts of organs, and one whole organ is gone. So I like to stay within that range, but I use it as a guide, and that's it. It's just a guide. And as I said, it's an imperfect tool, but it's kind of the best one that we have. Oh, I love this one. Number 13. And it's another exercise one, but I know why I left it on the list. You can out-exercise a bad diet. No, you can't. No, you can't. You can't eat a large pizza and then just be like, I'm going to get on the treadmill and burn this bad boy off. How long are you going to stay on that treadmill? Because I don't know how many calories that pizza was, but you're going to need to be on that treadmill for like 12 hours. Probably at an incline and a pretty good clip. Google it. Take a look. Look into how many calories exercise actually burns when it's done. And I think you'll be shocked. This isn't to discourage anyone from exercising. Movement is wonderful. The more of it you can do, the better. Anyone who's familiar with my physical journey will know how important I believe movement is. I've had to relearn how to walk. So movement is very important. Muscle mass is very important. But it is equally important for people to understand that you can control your weight and you can get your weight under control without having to rely on it. And myths like this one are particularly dangerous, not just for slightly overweight people or healthy weighted people, but I think it's also very dangerous for someone who is dealing with morbid obesity. Because if you have the belief that you can out exercise a bad diet, you're going to get very frustrated very quickly. You're probably going to burn out very quickly. It's very difficult to maintain and to sustain. So yeah, you can't out exercise a bad diet, not with how many calories exercise actually burns. Number 14, healthy food is too expensive. I'm of two minds with this one, and I think we're in a really tricky place with this right now because food costs have gone up so much for so many of us. Healthy food is expensive. All food right now is expensive. I think there was a big push a couple of decades ago, and I don't want to say it was deliberate because I don't know. It felt to me like it was deliberate, but that's just a feeling, not a fact. I felt like there was a deliberate attempt on the part of processed food manufacturers and fast food companies a couple of decades ago to convince us all that healthy food is too expensive. And particularly back then, it really wasn't. For the cost of a fast food meal, you absolutely can go to the grocery store and buy an equivalent amount of healthy food and probably end up with more depending on what you eat and where you're shopping and how you shop. I think part of the problem is what we've qualified as healthy food. That's a moving goalpost. That's something that changes from person to person. I don't think it's right or it's fair to dictate that only single ingredient organic foods are healthy. Only things that come from the produce section are healthy. Only foods that come from a butcher are healthy. You can have healthy food from other sources. You can have healthy processed foods, which I know that's an opinion that gets me into a lot of trouble too, but it's still the truth. You can have healthy processed foods. So yeah, healthy food is expensive. All food is expensive. There are ways to make it more affordable, and there are workarounds for that. This is such a conversation about privilege. Not everyone has access to the same food. Not everyone has access to the same types of food with the situation in America right now with the food deserts where so many people are relying on dollar stores to get, as their grocery store. This is a tough one for me. This is a hard one to talk about because so many people are dealing with food insecurity. Honestly, I just want to skip it and tell everybody to just keep eating what you can afford right now and do the best you can. And that's not what I'm supposed to be doing right now. I'm supposed to be addressing this myth, but I don't think it's helpful. It is a myth that healthy food is too expensive to eat. It is a myth that healthy food is prohibitively more expensive than fast food or than processed foods. But at the same time, we don't all have access to either the equipment or the knowledge to cook and prepare these so-called healthy foods. I think it's more important that we stay focused on helping people to get more access to the healthier foods and then helping people to have access to the education about how to prepare those foods. I feel like that's almost a bigger barrier at this point, especially when we've got a couple generations of people who are removed from using ingredients to build out a meal as opposed to having the meal ready to go. Number 15 is one that I can definitely speak to, and it's once you lose weight, you can just go back to your old habits, your old eating habits. No, you can't. You can, you definitely can't. So I lost the 201 pounds. I kept it off for a while. Like I made it over the 5-year mark. It was like 7 years. So I thought, yeah, I'm in the clear here because 85% gain their weight back within the first 5 years, right? So I thought, oh, I'm doing well. I'm in the clear here. And then no, I fell back. I chose to fall back into my old eating patterns and into my old eating habits. And sure enough, I gained about 115 pounds of my weight back. So a little bit more than half. And then I had to turn around and lose that again. I was surprised that this one was a myth that came up. This wasn't one you guys sent in. I'm still dealing with the Google myths right now. And I was a little bit surprised to see this one. But then I thought about it for a minute. I went, well, we have an 85% recidivism rate. So yeah, I guess it makes sense that people believe that once you've lost the weight, you can just go back to the way that things were before. I'm going to assume that for people who are trying to lose weight, before was them being in a calorie surplus. I was still gaining weight right up until the moment that I turned it around. I was actually gaining weight pretty quickly, right up until the moment before I turned it around. So if I had gone back right away to eating the way I was at the beginning, I would have been in a calorie surplus every day, and I would have gained the weight back much quicker. I wouldn't have had that 7 years in maintenance mode that I did end up having. So, and I certainly don't eat the way now that I did either the first time I was heavy or the second time, because I recognize that I can't. If I do, I'm going to gain all my weight back again, and I'm going to have to lose it again. And I, one, can't do that because it will kill me. And two, I don't want to. I'm tired of losing weight. I've spent more than enough time doing that, and I'm done with it. That's not my job anymore. My job now is to help you with your weight loss. Mine's under control. So I don't ever want to go back to the way I was eating before. There is something appealing about, just eating whatever I want and however much of it. I'm too well versed in the consequences of that behavior to be willing to keep doing it. I can still be indulgent, but I never go back to the way that I was. I'm not sure if number 16 is still trending. I know it was a few years ago, but there was this whole story. I'll tell you the myth, and then I'll go into it. So the myth is number 16, eating fat burning foods can help you to lose weight. All right. So there are no foods that directly burn fat. I know that was a really popular notion a few years ago. Fat burning teas, fat burning supplements, fat burning, these foods burn fat, those foods, that's not food's job. It's like the fat absorbers, right? No, it's not a thing. So there are foods that are high in protein, right? That make you feel fuller longer slightly, but they're not going to cause weight loss directly. There is no fat burning food out there. It's an unfortunate myth, and I kind of feel like maybe that one went away a little bit, but it'll probably come back around at some point. Speaking of fat, that brings us to number 17. Low fat or diet foods are the best ones for weight loss. No, they're not. Okay, we're going to have to come at this one, I think, in a few different ways. I want to tell you, though, that the first time I lost my weight, for at least the first year, I refused to eat any foods that were low fat or diet. I wouldn't eat low fat foods because they didn't taste good. And I wouldn't eat diet foods just on principle. I had my nose out of joint for weird reasons that were wrong. So I wouldn't eat them. It would have been far more helpful. I certainly ate low fat and diet foods the second time I lost weight, but they are not always the best for weight loss. And there are several reasons why. The first reason right out of the gate is low fat doesn't guarantee low calorie. And the only way to lose weight is to be in a calorie deficit. So let's take the old Oreo cookies, for example. I think I talked about these a little while ago because I had a huge grocery store freak out moment where I was standing there with 2 boxes of Oreo cookies, the low fat, and I love Oreo cookies, the low fat ones and the regular ones. And there was 5 calories difference. 5. And it made me very angry. Very, very angry. I was so mad at the whole thing at this time. But the reason I was pissed off was I was like, you're labeling this as a low fat cookie. Great. My brain saw low fat and went, that'll help me lose weight. That's a diet food. It isn't. It's just lower in fat. 5 calories wasn't going to make or break me at that point in my journey. Let me tell you, that 5 calories difference wasn't, even if I ate 8 cookies, it's still not enough of a difference to justify making the switch. Because the other side of this is not only are the calories not always lower enough for the juice to be worth the squeeze between the regular version and the low fat or the diet version of a product, they often don't taste very good, right? Or they taste really good, but you're just missing something, you know? So a couple hours later, because you're missing that something, because you just weren't satisfied by the overall experience of the low fat cookies, you end up eating more of the low fat ones, or you end up reaching for something else. And reaching for something else because you weren't satisfied with the low fat or the diet version is going to negate any of the positive gains you would have had from the slightly lowered calories. The juice has to be worth the squeeze. You're better off eating the regular version if you're going to feel more satisfied overall, and especially if it has the same amount or just slightly more calories. So much food stuff. I'm not used to dealing with food this much in an episode, but okay. The next one, number 18, is you should only eat superfoods. That was in quotes too for our listeners. Superfoods for weight loss. No, I don't think you could. You'd get bored so fast. Right now, I can only think of 3 foods that I've heard commonly labeled as superfoods: blueberries, sweet potatoes, and turkey. There's nothing wrong with any of those foods. They're all terrific. There's certainly no need to avoid the superfoods. I used ground turkey a lot as a substitute for ground beef just because it's got 30% less fat, at least 30% fewer calories. That's the main reason. And my kids don't notice depending on what it's in. And I really enjoy turkey. Plus, it's very satisfying. But I don't do that because turkey is a superfood. I do it to cut the calories and to have something that's a little bit healthier than the ground beef or the ground pork, depending on what I'm cooking. Sweet potatoes are full of vitamins. They're terrific for you. But no, the bottom line, you don't. This isn't a conversation about sweet potatoes and blueberries. You absolutely do not have to stick to just superfoods. You can have superfoods. You can have superfoods all day. So long as you're in a calorie deficit, you'll lose weight. All 3 of those superfoods would be fine to help you lose weight. So long as you're in a deficit, you can eat all the turkey, blueberries, and sweet potatoes that you like. Have them with your bacon and bubblegum. Okay, we're going to burn through the next 2 too, because I think Google clumped all the food stuff together. Number 19, vegetarian or vegan diets will guarantee weight loss. No. They absolutely will not. It's funny, I had a conversation literally just before I recorded this in my membership. We were on a call and we were talking about the vegan alternative, quote unquote, meat products. So, vegan chicken nuggets and stuff. And one of the women I work with was shocked by how many calories. She assumed that, it was hamburgers. It was a vegan burger. And she was shocked that the vegan burger didn't have fewer calories in it than a beef burger. I wasn't, because I've taken a look at a lot of this stuff. But yeah, no, vegetarian and vegan food does not, being on those diets doesn't guarantee, potato chips are vegan, right? So it doesn't, there are lots of calorie dense, high calorie foods that are vegetarian and vegan. Any avocado fans out there? You'll know exactly what I'm talking about. So no, it doesn't guarantee weight loss. The only thing it guarantees weight loss is a calorie deficit. That's it. Okay, I think this is the last of these food questions, I think. So avoiding gluten will guarantee weight loss. Also a no. I don't know what else to say about that. If you need to avoid gluten, by all means do so. If you're avoiding gluten because you think it will guarantee weight loss in some way, I'm afraid it won't. No, that is definitely not the case. If the foods that you're eliminating because of their gluten are putting you in a calorie deficit by not eating them, yeah, you'll lose weight. If the gluten-free alternative to the food you're eating has the same amount of calories or more calories than what you've substituted it for, you won't lose weight. It's just a math thing. So it's not about the label, it's about the math. Vegan, vegetarian, what was our other one? Gluten-free, and then, clean eating. No, none of those are guarantees. It's the calories. Calories in, calories out. Everybody hates it when I say that. It's an oversimplification, but you need to be in a calorie deficit. So none of those things are a guarantee to weight loss. I'm sorry, they're just not. Okay, I think this one's my favorite today. And I think we're going to end here. And I only got to 21. So it's looking like this is going to be 3 episodes, but that's all right. So number 21 and our last one today, diet myth, weight loss myth, is you have to weigh yourself every day. No, you don't. Please don't do that. Please don't do that. Weighing yourself every day will make you crazy and drive you to burnout. Don't do it. Pick a day, just one day a week, and weigh yourself on that day. I like Wednesday. I like Wednesday because it doesn't have all of the loaded psychological baggage that so many of us have with Monday. You know exactly what I'm talking about. Monday is a problem for a lot of us. Don't do your weigh-in day on Monday. So that's the abstract reason. Concretely, I don't think Monday is a good weigh-in day because of the salt you took in over the weekend. You're going to see a spike on Monday. A lot of us tend to indulge ourselves on the weekend, or we eat foods, even if we're not indulging ourselves calorically, we're indulging ourselves with sodium, which is going to lead to retaining water, which is going to lead to weight gain, which is going to lead to misery on the scale on Monday, which can set you up for an entire week of feeling bad about yourself. So let's not do that. Let's pick one day a week. Let's make it Wednesday, and let's weigh ourselves then, because the scale is going to fluctuate. It is very natural for it to fluctuate day to day. My weight at 10 o'clock in the morning and my weight at 3 o'clock in the afternoon are going to be different every single day of the week. Pick one day, preferably at the same time, and just stick with it. It's going to make your life so much easier, because you don't want, I know that it's the highest high when you get on that scale and you see that it's down. But the flip side of that coin is it is the lowest low when you get on that scale and see that it's up. So Monday, you're feeling good. Tuesday, you feel like shit. Wednesday, you feel a little better. No, let's get off that train completely, because all that zigging and zagging up and down does is make it harder for you to find the stability you need to just focus on what you need to do, which is get into a calorie deficit and stay in a calorie deficit. Don't make yourself crazy. Don't drive yourself nuts. One day a week. I know you want to know. I know you do, because that little lift you get when the number's down. But when the number's up, it's not a good feeling. It's not a good way to have to start your day. Just pick one day a week. It'll make things so much easier. Once a week gives you the control you need. You're aware enough to have the control you need of what you're doing. Every day it's too much. Far too much. Okay. That was 21. We're going to do more next week, and it's looking like I'm going to be doing more the week after as well. But that's okay, because I think it's really important that we talk about this stuff. So have a good week. And in the meantime, since we've got so much lag, if there are things you'd like me to talk about that you haven't seen me talking about, you can email me anytime. You can send me a DM on Instagram, or you can get a hold of me through my website, which is just disruptingobesity.com. If you want some help with your weight loss, I would love to help. You can have a copy of my free guide. It's just called Getting Started for the Last Time. It's already helped thousands of women all around the world. We're in 116 countries now, if you can believe it. So you can pick that up just by following the link in the notes or heading over to my website. You can pop onto Amazon and search for Disruptor by Charlotte Skanes. That's my weight loss workbook. I have my own membership platform. It's like Facebook, but for weight loss. It's just women, and we're all coming together to help each other out. The information for that will be in the notes as well. And as always, if you're really ready, there's the program. 53 weeks to get your weight under control and to deal with your relationship with food. I'll be back next week, and apparently we're going to be talking about more weight loss myths. Keep trying, keep tracking, don't be intimidated, and don't give up. You've totally got this. Thank you for listening to Disrupting Obesity with Charlotte Skanes. If you know it's time to take back control, lose the weight, and keep it off, reach out to me privately with a direct message on Instagram that says ready, so you can start disrupting obesity.